Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it is time for another movie review. This again is another one that you guys picked for me from a poll, and this time around it is Rollerball from 1975. This is the Scorpion releasing Blu-ray that came out in 2022. That's what I watched for this review. And this is a film that I thought I had seen back in the 70s, but I didn't. I thought I had gone to see it at the drive-in when I was a little kid, and even if I had, I would re-review it because I wouldn't remember anything from it. But it turns out I never saw this before, and that's why I put it up on the poll. And this is definitely not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting a movie about a brutal action sport, or a brutal action sport movie, this futuristic sport called Rollerball, which you can see here features spiked gloves and some sort of projectile on the cover here. It's actually a ball. What I got was completely different. I mean, yes, there's a brutal sport involved in the film, but it does not take up the entirety of the movie. I was actually surprised with how sort of introspective a lot of this film is. And it talks about giving up freedom for comfort. And in this day and age, that is something that is a warning that needs to be heeded. So I was very, very surprised by this movie. It deals with a world that takes place in 2018, or at least 1975's version of 2018, where poverty no longer exists, disease no longer exists. Corporations have essentially taken over control of the world, and there was something called the corporate wars that was fought sometime before 2018, and each corporation now has a monopoly over whatever it is they produce, and they control different areas of the world, and whatever it is they produce, that's what they're in charge of. And war has been replaced by the sport of rollerball. The rules of rollerball have been essentially designed to show that one individual can't rise up to be successful. It requires, working together, and, one individual by themselves is not important. But when that actually starts to happen with Jonathan E., played by James Caan, he plays for the Houston team, and he becomes a star, or starts to become a star. And he is encouraged by Bartholomew, played by John Houseman, who is the head of the energy corporation who runs Houston, who, also runs the Houston team, that he's going to have to retire. And if the corporation gives you a directive, you should follow it, or bad things will happen to you. And Jonathan, being this individual that he is, decides he's not going to do that. And it sort of sets off in motion this whole series of events where he feels that he can't let his team down, especially when they're just a few games away from the championship. And he finds himself in this unique position of power that people don't normally find themselves in. I won't say any more than that. The action scenes in this movie are spectacular, especially for 1975. And even though this is a fictitious game, when the movie opens, it just drops you right into a 15-minute long, no dialogue, no character development, no character names sequence, where you're just introduced to the game and dropped right in the middle of it, in the deep end, basically, to get a sense of what this game is all about, how brutal it is, what the rules are. You never really get all of the rules, but it's easy enough to figure out what's going on so you're not lost. And that kind of gives you an idea of what they're playing for and the brutality of the game. And then you're introduced to the characters, and then the plot kicks in. The movie falters a little bit when it sort of becomes this reflective look at his character. He's, kind of pining away for what's been taken from him as a result of his successful career with the Houston team. It doesn't work as well as the social commentary bits where there's a question of, what if we did give up, our freedom for comfort and no disease and no war and all that kind of stuff, you know, as a society where we really wouldn't want for anything, but we really wouldn't have any say in our lives. You know, we wouldn't have a say in who we would have a relationship with. People would come and go out of our lives just at the whim of a corporation. You may have a wife, but you also may have a lover, or you may not get a wife just because somebody doesn't want you to have one. You know, it's none of that stuff is under your control. You're completely a puppet of the corporation. That kind of stuff sparks more interest than the character development stuff about Jonathan, I think. And it's still very thought-provoking in terms of a movie. It's really interesting to compare this movie's version of 2018, which probably seemed really unthinkable, or at least highly unlikely that it would get like this by 2018, back in 1975, to where we are as a world in 2025. I think we're a lot closer to the world of Rollerball than we would like to have admitted we would be in 1975. So the movie is enough to give you some pause when you think of it that way. I have not seen the remake, which what I understand is it's really just sort of a stripped down, really crappy version that doesn't even compare to this version. It takes away all the thought and social commentary basically out of the movie. I don't even want to comment on it because I haven't seen it, but I've just heard bad things about it. But in a way that doesn't surprise me, because it came out in 2001 or 2002. And we sort of have become less complex in the future in modern times. And that's sort of what this movie's point was. So the world of Rollerball seems closer now than it did in 1975. But definitely worth checking out. I give this a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. There's probably a lot of imagery and subtext that I missed on a first watch, so it's definitely going to be a movie I see again. But James Caan is excellent in it. John Houseman is excellent in it, although I really, really wanted to take a nose hair trimmer to his nose because it was disgusting. But yeah, Rollerball, excellent movie. Very much do recommend it, that you see it, especially for its vision of what is now our past, but was the future in 1975. So yeah, thanks for voting for it, and we'll put up another poll for next week's movie, and then we're off to the Halloween 15 for October. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for making it this far into the video. I appreciate your attention span, and as always, take it easy. See ya.